Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Comics Unlimited. Today, we are talking about tools. What kind of tools does it take to make comic books? What do we use when we create our amazing works of art? So let's find out. We'll talk to you in a second.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.
Good morning, everybody. I am Ted Davies. I am artist and author, best known for Retrieve and Grimm 101. Who's this guy next to me?
I'm Glenn Fleming, and I'm a writer, artist, and publisher. You may have heard of me before.
Yes, a couple times. The reason why we're here today is for Comics Unlimited. This is our book, and this is our podcast. We've got a new one coming out next month, right? This coming month.
Maybe as early as the end of next week.
Very good, very good. And that's going to be
100 pages, full of the usual articles and artwork and stuff. It's looking like a good issue.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's 100 pages is awesome. I mean, it's larger than the last book, so I'm looking forward to seeing everything that's in it. I even got an article in that one as well. So
I think you do, yeah.
Sounds good. Do. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I don't think I've seen the cover yet, so I'm interested in that.
I'll send it to you later on.
Cool. We do have our sponsor, Cashman's Comics. Check out everything that John's doing down in Bay City, Michigan. If you're looking for new comics, anything to deal with new comics, check out what John's doing and say hi, Petey, the guard dog, when you stop in. He will ship worldwide. Just you got to pay for the postage, and that's pretty much it. So check out everything at cashmanscomics.com. So I want to say good morning to everybody. I know we've got a couple people in the queue here. If you guys could like and share this out, that would be awesome. I know you'll keep Glenn from yelling at me. So Ryan Permission's in the house. Donna, Carl. Good morning, guys. Plus everybody on Twitch as well. Thank you guys for stopping in. Appreciate you. Okay, so this was your idea. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's for me. It's all about that.
What's that?
A pencil.
The pencil.
That to me.
That's where it starts. Yeah.
To me, that's the number one.
Yeah. What is that one? Is that 2H or what is it?
No, this is an HB.
You'll
be familiar with a HB pencil.
Sure.
And I used to use a 2B, and you can see I've used that one quite a lot.
Sure.
It's a 2B, but I found that with the artboard that I use, which is Dale Rowney hot pressed watercolor, it didn't like that smudgy 2B line.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like it at all. So I went for a finer one, and I used the HB. And I would never normally draw with a HB's pencil, but for the board I'm using, it works really well. Good. Because it gives you I'll show you. It gives you only a light pencil.
Hold on a sec. I'll bring that up full screen. Yeah, just enough.
It just gives you enough. There's a lot of I don't know whether it's too clear there, but because I'm inking it,
right.
I can leave a lot out, but that's a different situation. But the pencil is very, very, very not as soft. It's harder, as you understand.
That's the GH or the 2H. That's why I use them, because of drafting. I'm so used to using the line
on it,
and it's
crisp line.
On a vellum. It's a line that's extremely crisp.
Yeah.
But in that, like you're saying, the watercolor, especially when I'm doing back to the drawing board, it's hard to see. It's hard to see with the brighter lights. I can see it fine, but on the camera, it's hard to see. So I mean, that's why I've gone up to like an ebony, designer ebony.
Oh yeah,
these are a little bit nicer. It's better for the audience too.
I found this the other day. Well, I found it. It's in the pot there. It's a Black Prince, and it's probably, I think it's a. Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
I think it's what is it? It's 8B.
Wow.
8B.
God. All right. That's like a crayon.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I don't use it. It's too soft for me for what I do now.
Right.
I would have used it some other time. I don't remember using it, but it's obviously there in the pot. it's worn down, so it must have been used on something.
Sure.
But yeah,
we got Eric. We have Eric Hawkins in the house too. Good morning, Eric. Sorry to cut you off there, Glenn.
It's all right. It's just that you'll know this again with your architecture. The most, I know everything's important when you build a house, but the most important thing is the foundation, isn't it?
Sure.
Because if the thing falls down, it doesn't matter how nice it was. And it's like with the drawing, and what you do, and what I do, and what I would imagine any artist does, you need to get the good foundation of drawing down there.
Yeah.
The amount of lines doesn't matter. Now, I mean, by now I can get the line down in a couple of lines, but that's because I'm experienced and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And you'll be the same. So, but you start off and you do lots of lines and you pick out the line that works. But when I'm using the HB pencil, I don't have any. I can see the line all the time. There's no smudging going on with the B,
right,
or 2B, 3B, whatever. And that's the way I work now. But that's generally because of the board I'm using.
Got it. And what's the Bristol? Is it Bristol or what is it?
No. It's just Dale Rowney.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Watercolor hot press.
Is it okay? So, that is what. Okay, you do use the water. Okay, and that takes ink well. That takes
really well. Yeah. Well, it takes ink like this. I'll show you a sample of. You've seen this before.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's all ink, colored ink.
Yeah. And you guys have to realize, I mean, and that's something that you're kind of like the masters of old, because you mix your own inks.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing talent. I don't do that. I mean, I'll mix the watercolors, but I don't do that. So that's a real talent.
It's only the same thing because I've got.
Yeah, but I mean the tones. I mean, you're consistent. If people see your work, you're very consistent on, say, the tones of the sand or whatever, like in Hatch especially. Yeah. Extremely consistent on that, and that's not an easy thing to do. That's not.
What you've got to. You just use these.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've always thought I should buy some of those Dr. Martens dyes. You know, the ones I told you that Frank Bellamy used, the old guys used.
Yes.
But I've never got around to it. And they're quite expensive, actually. That's probably the reason why. But
there's yeah, go ahead.
There's a great feeling of freedom when you're using the ink, like with the watercolors, as you know. It's the same principle. Yeah. And a lot of it depends on the water that you're putting in.
Absolutely.
And get it as wet as you can. You know, it's not going to do any harm. It's going to dry out. Yeah. You know, as you find with your work, when I was watching you yesterday during that drawing, those backgrounds are fantastic.
Thanks.
And there's lots of ways to get to the end product, and like people are using computers now and all that kind of thing. And I'm not against that. That's just not what I do. You know, I don't do that. And there's lots of little idiosyncrasies in there because I just like pencils. I like sharpening them. I like erasing them off the board.
It's the whole experience of it all, right?
Yeah, the whole.
It's process. Like hand lettering. I mean, it's hand lettering's been for me. It's just something that I do. I did so much 3/30 seconds lettering for years and years. I mean, it was. I mean, my hand should be like this, you know, should be paused. But we would have these 24 by 36 sheets of vellum. We'd run out of things to write. I'd have to go to get, if you guys, this shows my age, I'd have to go to album covers or CD. I'd actually go to old albums and I'd pull out all the old lyrics and I would write them down so that we could have something to present to the professor, you know. But yeah, that was, or you know, we had some people that were into the religious side of it, so they would get the Bible out and just start acting like a scribe and just, you know, I never did that. But
speaking of that, that's what used to happen to us at school when we're in detention, when we had to stay behind. What happened was we'd walk in and there'd be 4 or 5 of us, and we'd walk in. And we had to stay for half an hour, and when we walked in, we weren't to speak. This was the rule. This was told to you in assembly. You weren't allowed to speak. You just go in the room. You pick up, there's a pile of books, you pick up any book, you pick up a piece of paper and you pick up a pen and you go to the desk on your own. You're not allowed to sit with anybody. Open the book and start writing from the page you open. So middle of a novel. And then you would write for half an hour and then the bell would go. You would close the book, move to the teacher, give him the paper, and he would rip it up in front of your face. So you could have been writing anything on that paper. And he would rip it up, just throw it in the bin. but you couldn't say anything until you got outside the room. If anybody ever, one guy said, "See you tomorrow, sir," and he got detention again the next day.
There.
Anyway, I digress.
What was it? It was a grammar school. Was grammar?
No, it was just what we call a secondary school. It was, you know,
my dad went to, I think it was Robert's Grammar School. I've got the hat still that he had when he was a kid. And it was founded in 1685. That's how old that freaking school was.
That's before your place was even alive, isn't it? 1685.
Yeah, right. And he got, and this is the family joke, he got in trouble for having intercourse with a girl. And, because they were separate schools. And the intercourse, though, was he talked to her. That's all it was. He passed her in the courtyard. That's the intercourse that they said. And he said good morning to her or some, she's probably a beautiful redhead or whatever.
Yeah, he probably said, "Hi, gorgeous."
Yeah, right. And he got in trouble for it. I think he got caned, if I'm not mistaken.
Caned.
Yeah. Really, backwards way of thinking. But anyway, that's the joke. So we have to say, and yes, I did say intercourse, but it wasn't meant that way.
It was in its
Good morning, Grant. How you doing? So the tools that we use, though, to create artwork, all right, comic books are separate for a minute. We'll talk about comics in a sense, but a lot of the things like this from the years of architecture, an architectural scale is paramount because it converts to scale. So you can take from inches, quarter inches, whatever, quarter inch scale, half inch scale, 3/8 inch scale. A lot of the, everybody, they've seen this on my other shows too. Vemco, I don't know if you have I'm sure you have Vemco over there.
Yeah.
But Vemco drafting tools were just incredible for me. I still use. I had them for 40 years. Of course, you guys know I've got about 100 different brushes, but I'm just showing you what I use in general, and then Microns. I'm a huge Micron fan. I go through these things like they're because the type of paper I use,
I use those as well.
It's very aggressive. But yeah, 2H is usually what I use for my just to start out, and that's 2H pencils, and they go from a huge. I got a huge box of them, and I just whittle them down to nothing. And then I also use Sharpies. I am a huge fan of Sharpies. I do a ton of, and they're disposable. I use a ton of them. I
use these permanent bullet tips.
Yeah, right. Oh, those are nice. Those aren't cheap.
But look at this. This is the way I use it. This is how I get some of my space effects. Look at that. Look at that nib.
Let's see it. Holy cow, man.
See how it's flat? And I just dab it.
Yeah,
like
right.
that. Just dab it. And it ruins it. But
but you get that Kirby crackle.
Yeah,
right?
It's absolutely brilliant. Great effect. And
what do they run? What do those run per marker?
I don't understand what you mean.
Like how much? How expensive are they?
Oh, that costs you. That probably costs you about £4,
okay.
$6-7. It's not cheap. It's not cheap for what I do with it.
No,
because as soon as I'm getting it, I'm doing this with just dabbing the end.
Oh, of course,
and
you're not drawing straight line or anything. Yeah.
No.
Eric said that he used Copsic multiliner. Yeah, refillable. So there's nothing wrong with that. The refillable. We were just talking about that. Didn't you find
I've got it
an
here.
ancient pen? Yeah,
I did. I bought this in 1983. And it's a repeat. It's not a repeatograph, but it's that kind of a pen. It's like a drawing pen. It's like a needle.
Wow. And what's the mill on that?
It's a 0.18.
Wow.
0.18. So really fun. And I've never used it. I've had this for 40 years. I've never used it, and I should be. I'm going to get around to using that.
I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me pull this up here. Hold on a second. This is one of the.
Oh yeah, lovely.
That thing is, man.
Yeah.
My dad used this. This is how old this thing is. So and we still kept
precious,
it.
Isn't it?
Oh, it is
precious.
He's done a lot of work like that.
See, what happens is that I'm sure.
Sorry.
Other people do this of our age because we use the same thing, like this ruler.
Yeah.
I well, I sort of liberated it from a studio I worked in 1979.
Liberated it.
1979.
Yeah.
So what's that? 43 years, and I still use it. I still use it. Same with these things. If I don't use these a lot, but
right. You know, I've got one of this desk. I told people about this desk before. This desk, you're talking about tools. This is a 1940, I want to say 41, 42 desk that was used. There's a small airport here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, that they converted to make tanks and everything else for the war effort. And this came out of that. It was one of the original desks, and I found it just happenstance. I was supposed to have it. But it's got this drawer in it. It's an industrial desk, and it's got a drawer in it. And this is where I keep Excalibur. So I told you about that, right? My dad's, let me tell you, go ahead, continue. Oops, sorry. It's Excalibur. A huge noise. Do you know what this thing is?
I've seen them.
Okay. So this is a quick liner template.
I'm going to say different thicknesses of line, yeah.
Right. So that
that's a real cheat, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it though? That's what I said. So, but yeah, I've got I'll show you Excalibur in a second, but yeah, but I mean everything from these small deals.
One of the best things I ever bought was this little set square.
Oh yeah, with the pivot. Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's a tiny one. And it's really, really great for obviously quick lines rather than one of the big ones. You know, it's a fantastic little thing. I've had that about, I don't know, 30 odd years. So you just never stop using them.
Right. Okay, so this one was used by my dad at Ford, and he put his name on it because my dad did that. He engraved his name or whatever, so they wouldn't walk off, right? And he puts on here.
I did that too.
Please do not use as a straight edge for cutting. He says it right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah. Please do not use. And I cut on this thing every day I have a chance to, just to give Dad a little bit of heat, you know, even though he's been gone 10 years this year. But yeah, that's Excalibur. That's
on my metal ruler, you can see my name at the end there. I'm not sure whether you can see it. See my initials, GBF, right? Can you see it?
That's cool.
At the top?
Yeah.
And I won't say this. Well, this is, and people keep. I used to keep these things clean, and everybody else used to get it stuck up with spray mount.
Oh, sure.
So I scratch this on my. Can you see it? Can you see what it says there?
No,
you don't have to say it, but.
No, I can't read it.
Right, I want it. SOD off. It says, leave it alone, and you know, so.
What is SOD?
Sod off.
Yeah,
it means go away.
Mm-hmm.
To do with things.
Got it.
It's great how precious you get because everybody. I mean, it's amusing, but not for me. The studio thought it was funny because they would use my equipment, so because it was always clean. When I did a job, when I did ink down the side of, if I did an ink line down the side of that, and I'd clean it. With,
Did you put tape or build up underneath?
Sometimes
so that
I do that.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have ink.
I have one here that I've done that on. That tape's 40 years old.
Right, that's what I've done too.
Just to lift it off, as you know.
Right, so it doesn't smear the ink. People don't know. You know,
this has got stuff on it from all that time ago. Look at all these marks and all sorts.
I've gone months without washing those type of templates and everything else, and they just cake. I mean, we used to use petrol in a tin can. You're kidding?
No, it was not petrol, but it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like petrol, and you squirt it on it, and you put it on cotton wool and run it down the side, and it cleans it off. Whenever I used this equipment, I always used to clean it off. So my equipment was always clean post job. Yeah. And everybody used to borrow it because it was
clean. Yeah, right. Well, especially if you got the tack, if you got that spray on there, you've got to use some type of solvent to get it off.
That's right.
You can't, right? Yeah, we got to the point where, I mean, you remember the old draft? Did you work on drafting boards at all? Did they make you draft? Okay, so you remember the green mat that they put underneath for the drafting to soften it?
I've got one.
You've got one there? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have one on this one. They didn't have, this is before that. This still has the original pinholes and everything from the
Oh,
compasses that they
but it's
used.
real. It's
It's
real
freaking
one.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. You'll see it on the back as the backdrop for my drawing board.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember those would get really dirty. The green mats, it would get terribly dirty, and then it would collect underneath because we'd have a bar. We didn't have the armatures. I ended up getting an armature because I was high class, right? But they had these sliding plastic rulers that would just build up all kinds of roller debris and just ruin a drawing if you're not careful. So
we call that a parallel motion.
Yeah.
So I've got
parallel.
I've got one on my desk here. I've had this desk for 30 odd years. You can just see it there. You know, it just goes up and down. And
there you go. This is going to ruffle your feathers a bit.
No, my tool.
I think it's good though. I think Photoshop's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's a great. I still digitize my stuff too. I mean, there's stuff I add to it, take it out, whatever. You know, so whatever. That's all good.
The thing is, you see, is that with Photoshop, you've still got to have something to manipulate. So.
Yeah, and you know, like you were saying, anything is, if it works for you, then that's a valuable tool. So no problem. No problem. If you get the end result you want, then more power to you.
Yep.
I see some of these artists that are it's amazing the amount of work that they do and what they can accomplish with what they have, whether it's a putty knife or, I mean, it's amazing.
Well, there's a documentary somewhere on YouTube with Joe Sinnott. I mean, how good was Joe Sinnott? And he was showing you the tools of his trade, and he had this 12-inch ruler. Yeah, it was made out of wood. Yeah, and he bought it in 1952 or something. Right, and he was still using it up until the day he died. And so all that Kirby stuff they did, if he needed a straight line, he used this one wooden ruler. Yeah, but why do you need 10?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right. Eric says I use an Anco built drafting table from the 50s. That's awesome. That's awesome. This one, this has only got a couple pieces of metal on it. This particular, and it's this one's a 36 by 60. It's a beast, or 42 by 60. It's a beast. It takes up, you know, a lot of the room in the studio, but love it. And and I forget, it was built in Adrian, Michigan. But I don't think the company survived after that. I don't think that I know they made furniture, but it's got mission style legs. I mean, it's really well built. I mean, just a fantastic piece.
I'll tell you the story of my drawing board. I had this rackety thing, and it was falling apart. And I went to the shop, to the Collier Thought shop, the art suppliers, and I wanted a drawing board like this one, like I've got. Yeah. But they didn't have any left. They only had the one in the window. So I said, quick thinking, said it should have been. I mean, even then, this is 30 odd years ago. It should have been something like £100 or something. This drawing board, and they said we've only got that one, so you'd have to go to the other shop or wherever, find another one. I said, well, why don't I buy that one off you? That's, you know, shop soiled in the window, done nothing, for half price.
Yeah, half price, good.
So they said,
did they accept that?
They said, okay.
Wow.
I thought I was ready to go at 75, you know, but you have to go low, don't you?
Right.
I came on with this drawing board for half price, and I still got it. So I've had a lifetime's use out of it, and I would imagine this is going to be here a lot longer than I am if people look after it. Be here forever, you know. So it's
sure. I don't have the one I had in college anymore, but that was awesome.
But I also bought a chair with it, you know, a drawing chair with it, which I don't use because I stand up when I draw.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, right. I do too. And I set the chair. You don't see the height in that, but I usually
the chair is in the loft, you know, and it's never used. So
I used to sit all the time, and they actually say it's healthier now for you to stand up when you're working and stuff. So I do that a lot more. But I used to pivot the table quite a bit when I would draft. Yeah, and I'd have to make the armature stronger, you know, so it wouldn't move. But as far as the tools go, when making comics and that, it's actually been, it's been easier because of my drafting experience. It's been easier setting it up, getting it laid out, the insets, the bleeds, everything on it. It's just made it so much easier. I think drafting, and again, I think I'm still a firm believer that learning to draw traditionally helps the person. I really stress that. I think
It's
that
one of those
regardless of what, even if it's vocational training, you don't have to get a degree in it.
Well,
but at least you get the basics.
This is what I think people should do with printing. When people are with this self-publishing thing now and actual printing,
yeah,
I know it's helped me a lot to understand the process, because I when I was at college, I learned about movable type printing and photogravure and all those kind of things, and all that information doesn't generally come to bear with what you're actually doing, but you can draw on the experience of it, and you can understand leading and typography and point sizes and pikers and all this kind of stuff, and it's all experience. And I can never understand why people don't learn what to learn things. Because
I have to interrupt. I do have to go for a second because my mail's here and I've got to go sign for something. So give me a minute, talk amongst yourselves, and I'll be right back.
Right, you're going to put me on. What I'm going to show you now is a double page spread from a up and coming Hatch story that I'm doing, and you can see it's all done on artboard, and you can see where I've been using that, dipping that pen, and drawing him in there using coloured inks. This is the way I work. Now, I like the fact that I produce an original piece of artwork, which obviously on a computer you don't get, because I can sell this. I can sell prints and I can do all sorts of things with it. But when Ted was showing you all his brushes, all the brushes I use, this is part of the brushes I use, and there's nothing better for me than just picking up one of these things and actually mixing the inks, mix them all together, and I just think it's wonderful. But if people want to use computers and Photoshop, that's fine. But I don't go with that, because I like to, again, I'll show you some of this coming up. Have you sorted it out? I like to produce things like that, all done with coloured ink. Oh, are you going to open it now?
Nope. No.
Oh,
no.
But you're going to show us.
I want to see what the hat. Let's go back to the hat. That was awesome. Show me what that is.
This is the cover of number 2. I was just saying that I like, I bore people to death, but I don't care. I like to work on board and stuff like that with the coloured ink.
Oh, that's so good. And I appreciate that so much more. Yeah, that's awesome. He's stuck in the pyramid. That's so good. It's so good.
What's coming out soon?
Very cool. I'm excited for it. That's gonna be a good book.
Yeah, I'm also working on the animation as well. That's quite a frustrating thing, because I have to watch these tutorials, and
you should talk to John Celestri about it, because John's
Oh no, it's not the actual drawing. I can do the drawing. It's the getting it to work with the software that I'm using.
I see.
So I am using a computer, because I said this to you before, I would like to draw all the in-betweens, but it's 24 frames a second, and if you're doing 10 minutes of film, that's quite a lot of seconds. That's a lot of drawings. And the software, you do your key points, your keyframes, and then it blends it for you. So so I am using computers. I'm getting
so another tool that you're finding out about in your amongst your journey.
Yes.
What's been the most helpful tool that you've used over the years to get your drawings done, besides pencils and inks?
Tool.
Yeah. Or maybe a favorite. I mean,
I would have to say a pencil, because I can do anything I want with a pencil. I'm only limited by my imagination. But having said that, as you'll know, it is a long way from your head to the end of your arm, and sometimes you just can't. It's light years, sometimes you just can't get it. But a pencil to me is the ultimate. I mean, when the electric goes out, I'm not hindered. I can put a candle on. Light a candle and draw. So,
I can see that. And it is a huge part of it. I think that you take a pad of paper and a pencil, and you can draw anywhere. I mean, that's
exactly you can go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I'm not. People think I'm anti-computer, and I'm not. It's just that I enjoy sharpening the pencil, because I know what I'm going to do with it. The whole thing. And I find it so enjoyable, to do all these things. And some people find them tedious, and I find it tedious sometimes. But generally, I like to produce. I like it to be real,
One of the things that cost wise, that's when Brian Rodman brought up a while back on one of his shows, was the cost of the cost savings from what he's got a tablet, and what he's using saved on paper, and he was in pencils and all these other things. I know that with my Cintiq, the pen that I've got and everything else, the nibs, everything, the pen cost X amount of dollars, then the nibs, all these things that you have to add on with them, but it's still cheaper than buying paper. It's still, and that's one benefit to a digital format, that you don't have to have paper. You can go literally right to set up your,
but you can't put it under your arm and go to the beach with it.
You can if it's an iPad, but yeah, I got what you're saying. And it's hard to see. You can't. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I'm not going to draw my comic book on the beach. I might actually.
I know you're not, but you might do something. You might take some notes of, I don't know, sketch some rocks or something. Right. I don't know what's out
and
there.
I've got friends that are what they call they're artists, but they're they call plein air, where they actually go out in the field and on the coastline, and they'll actually do watercolor or acrylics there live, and that's amazing. That's an amazing thing to do, and they go all year long. So they'll be out there in the middle of winter,
I don't really think there's an argument, and I'm not trying to argue with anybody. It's just what I prefer. I prefer this way, and I prefer this way because probably when I was born and all that kind of thing. If you're 20 years old now, you're probably going to use a computer.
Yeah, and that's cool.
That's fine. Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
and you got to get used to it and get comfortable with what you're comfortable with, because I think that the tools doesn't matter. That's what I was getting at. So we can still produce comics, and there's a lot of things. I know that Comics Unlimited, the stuff that we're doing is mainly on a digital format. I mean, everything that we're doing,
of course, So, that's only taken. That I understand what people like Grant are saying about using a computer. And that takes away a lot of time and a lot of spray mount and sticking things down and all that kind of thing. But I can do that as well.
It's revolutionary.
I'm fast on that as
exactly
well.
Right.
But
you get the advantage. Yeah.
And all I've done is taken the expertise of the let's call it the manual artwork. Yeah. And I do it on a computer, and there's no smelly glue.
Right.
If I don't cut I've done this before. I've cut through, slipped and cut the typesetting. I don't do that. But it's great. Let me show you this. This is something I like to do. On this drawing here, all the stars.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Right? All
it's
those
so
stars.
Awesome. Yeah.
This are produced by that.
Yeah. That's amazing that you've got the patience to do that. That's amazing.
And that's just attention to detail. But I like to do it. I don't know how many stars. I don't know how many stars there are on that piece of work, but there's a few.
Oh God, well, it's
and
like
they're just
like the new telescope. It's like the new telescope.
James Webb. They're just they're just blobs from that pen. But I like doing it.
Yeah,
I get a great sense of achievement by doing it the way I do. And if other people do computers and get the same, that's fine. I'm not against it.
Good stuff. That's good, man. I'm sure that there's more tools that, I can go on and on. I mean, the trays that I use, all these things, it's limitless,
I use these things.
Oh yeah. Those are great. Yeah.
And these are really good.
Is that plastic or ceramic?
It's ceramic.
I've got the ceramic one too. So
these are great because, as you will know, there's 3 sections in it. I've got 2 of these. That's all I need, because I can. That's black, but you can just drag a little down into this section. Drag a little down to this. It's just wonderful.
Yep. Hey, Frost Beer, just got something in the mail. Just so you know. Anyway, but yeah, that's awesome though. There's tools are tools. You
were saying before about saving on paper. I told you the story of my artboard, didn't I? When I bought all that artboard for 35 quid for about $40.
Huge savings. Wow.
I don't think I'm ever going to have to buy any again. And so I've got
Most
4
likely not.
I've got 4 trees in my loft, of this pressed board. but I got that on a deal. It should have been. I think they should have been. I got about 60 sheets, and they all should have been £8 each.
Yeah, and
I got the lot for £35.
That's incredible.
Because they were doing a clear
in
out.
today's world, man, especially with the paper shortage, you're a wealthy man.
And it's funny because it's the same place I did the deal with the drawing board on 30 years ago.
How ironic.
So I seem to have this way in that, but they've closed down now, probably because of me.
Yeah, because of you. You didn't pay full price.
No,
they couldn't afford it.
They've moved to another area, but it's all good stuff.
It's all good. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad that we're traditional artists, but we've dabbled in digital, which is great over the course of
I used one of those Wacom pads, them Wacom pads.
Yeah, sure.
Back in 1995, somebody brought one in at work and showed it me, and I did some drawings on it. It was okay.
Is that the one just the flat? It didn't have a screen on it. Yeah.
No, and it's
a lot different. The Intuit pads versus the Cintiqs and stuff's a whole nother ball.
I'm sure it is, and that was at the early stage of the computer revolution, so to speak, in the 90s. And it was all right, but I just prefer to carry on the way I do with the pencil. It's a wonderful tool.
Yeah, and sometimes I've found that in architecture, I found sometimes doing the drawings sketch wise, it's more interesting. It's more artful. It's more creative, I think. But it's faster sometimes for me just to draw it and ink it than it is for me to actually get on the computer. It's good for 3 dimensions and walking through the building and that, but yeah, it's still sometimes faster. Onion skin has been a godsend for me. The onion skin paper, the tracing paper. Yeah. I built a career using that stuff, and I just, and I use it today too, just laying things out for comic books and everything else. I'll lay it down on a sheet and it's great. Love doing it. So yeah, I mean, you guys figure out, if you're artists, figure out what the tools that you use. Let us know, because we'd love to find out. Maybe there's something different that you use that, we didn't bring up today, whether it's guides or scales or pens or whatever you use. I mean, I'd love to know a little bit more about what you guys do. Maybe you have a drawing board. I mean, look what Jack built with that rickety old drawing board he had.
It's all to do with inside your head. Yeah,
right. So cool, man. I know it's a little short today, but I think that pretty much names it for the tools of what what else do you got? Anything else?
No, that's about it. There's just the brushes and stuff. Just the, I was just saying before, I just showed you this pen for the stars. There's all kinds of things, and it's just that.
Yeah, and
it's nothing.
Placement. Yep.
Yeah. But I put people say my star fields are really good, but I think that's because of my interest in astronomy. So I actually put real star fields on my drawings, so to try and place hatch somewhere near us,
So cool.
So you'll find Orion's belt in there and all
that's
that
cool.
kind of stuff,
That's really cool.
So, but it's
details. That's awesome. God's in the details. That's good. Good stuff. Awesome. Did Jack ever do that? I don't know if he ever did that. Did he ever put the Orion's belt or anything else like that on? Or any of the other artists?
I always thought that Jack's star fields were a bit hokey. I think the American word is, because he used to put 58 planets in them.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that way. So no.
Destroy each other if they got that close.
That's right. Yeah.
But well, that's cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And again, look for our Comics Unlimited. It's under Glenn B. Fleming's Amazon page, and we'll have the new one out probably beginning of next month. We'll figure it out. We'll make an announcement once that happens. It's looking really good though. 100 pages. It's going to be a really good product. I can't wait for it to come out, so then you guys can get on there. And if you're interested in advertising with us, let us know. We've got a breakdown of. Just get a hold of myself or Glenn, and we'll get back with you on that. That's about it, man. What do you got? You drawing today? Writing or drawing?
I'm I'm finishing up the Comics Unlimited magazine, this issue, and I'm doing some work on the animation today. Good
deal. Yeah, I've got drawing I'm working on the Retrieve, and then I've got to record a couple things going on with John Celestri here for the next Feed the Beast. And yeah, just been busy. Check out everything we're doing on Ted Davies Artistry here and with Comics Unlimited, as well as from the Trenches of Hollywood. with Craig Hall.
When's the next one with Trenches?
I have to check. I'm not sure. I know we're posting something here. It might be this week. I have to double check tomorrow. I know he's been tied up with a few things this week, so we'll see what's coming up. But it should be this week, I would think. So I'll talk to him later today, and we'll see. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Good seeing you as usual.
Yeah.
I will talk to you soon. Stick around after the show, and we will talk. Thanks again, guys, for stopping in. Let us know, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.